Alarcon really made a name for himself in 2019, winning the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Fight Night tournament and then punching his ticket to the Bantamweight tournament where he won the title and did so, Brandon, based on, a very dominant top game where he utilized something that you don't see a lot in submission grappling only tournaments, and that's his strikes. Good ground and pound.
Fantastic ground and pound player, excellent strikes, and excellent wrestling as well. He won almost every scramble that he got into.
Hard left hands there by Alarcon.
My name is Richard Alarcon Jr. I'm 30 years old, and I'm the CJJ Bantamweight World Champion. As far as our style of jiu-jitsu, the main thing for us is self-defense. That's first. Without the strikes, we'd still be implementing the same style. Getting to a safe, position and, restraining your opponent, or, just getting somewhere where you can take very minimal damage. That's always been our biggest thing in one jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean?
There's no deck, keep going down. Good. Beautiful.
It's not just, sport or points or nothing like that. We get to a very dominant position or a comfortable position to where we can defend ourselves. And I felt like I've displayed that, in pretty much all the best CJJ competitions. I've never really been in too much danger in the first 10 minutes. I've always, showed great self-defense and even offense and countering. So I felt like our style of jiu-jitsu is well up there with the self-defense, realm.
Patient there. Look for transition. Look for transition. If there's not there, keep them down.
So this year's been, pretty much just all about time management. Obviously, there's been a lot of different priorities in my life, more so work, family. You just kind of get more in tune with, what's important and what's not. You start throwing away, the stuff that you don't need in your life. Get your circle a little bit tighter, and you keep the close ones close, I've just been working a lot, super busy. We work construction, we're a family business, so a lot involved in that. So we've just been, I barely even have enough time to pull over and take a piss sometimes. That's how busy we are. But, just been trying to get training in as much as possible. It's been a little hit or miss. Got a couple people, with health issues, so I'm definitely trying to keep a little safe. Just barely even, really started training this week, to be honest. I never really stopped lifting or fitness. That's just my lifestyle, so I just love doing that. But everything's coming back quick. It's all muscle memory. You don't really lose it once you stay, in touch with your body. You stay physically fit, active, you eat more good than bad, It's just all about lifestyle, If you're really a practitioner, it's not too hard to bounce back. As far as positionings and everything, we already know what we're good at. We're gonna try to emphasize that a little more and be a little more offensive rather than just hanging out for a little bit. Maybe even go for more so submissions than just the palm strikes themselves. Don't get me wrong, the palm strikes are great, but I think there comes a time where you're doing so much damage that you get caught up in the strikes. And I felt like I got caught up in the strikes, especially in the featherweight one. I was trying to land some strikes, and that was all I was focused on, rather than trying to get to a good position and work my game, my chokes, my Kimuras, my top, my north-south, and all that I'm really good at. Instead, I was trying to get to a dominant position and land the strikes, more so for the excitement in the crowd. So I think staying on the task at hand, getting that W, trying to go for submission, dominant control is, key to taking home that belt again. Yeah, I'm always going to find a way to defend myself properly, whether it be against an MMA guy who's known for their strikes and, more so their grittiness. Their jiu-jitsu style is definitely a lot different than your normal practitioner, because they're a little more rugged. They're used to getting hit, just brutes, you could say, but they're very skilled as well. They always have one or two really good moves. And then you got, the practitioners that aren't really used to getting hit. Some of them know how to properly defend themselves, some of them don't. So it just all depends on, your mental state, what you're able to take, and, what you were made to do. For me, I've always been a fighter, so, I've always been able to defend myself, and, any style, I'm going to put up a pretty good showing.
When we talk about Alarcon's ground and pound, he normally shuts down a lot of people's bottom games as well, and he's maintaining this top pressure and top position on Anderson.
So as far as going up featherweights, I just kind of packed on as much weight as I could in that short amount of time. Still felt pretty solid, you know what I mean? I went in there. I felt like, to be honest, I won the whole first 10 minutes, to be honest. I was on top, hitting, dominant control, being on top, getting takedowns. Over time, I was, the first 2 exchanges, I was ahead in time. But, it is what it is. Took a lot out of there as far as positioning and knowing weight distribution at another weight class. But honestly, to be honest, I felt like I could have hung in there with the best of them. I felt like I displayed a pretty solid game up until that armbar.
Trying to get it. Alarcon.
Oh, he tapped it.
Tapped. Oh, my.
For me, I always pull something, out of any position, good, bad, no matter what, I'm always going to take something from it. Definitely took a lot from this last one. I was on a little downward spiral as far as competitions. I was suffering a loss and another loss and another loss. It was just like I got caught up in that little rhythm, and I felt like this break definitely gave me like a reset button, but definitely pulling a lot from everything I've experienced and learned. And I think that this time that I took off definitely gives me some brand new eyes, you could say. So definitely seeing a lot of new openings, different positions, things I've never seen before, figuring a lot out with my team and just within myself. Obviously we're not all perfect, but I feel like each day I'm perfecting myself more and more in all aspects of my life, not just my jiu-jitsu. The lower weights never really get too much action anyways, whether it be MMA, jiu-jitsu, what have you. It's always been the upper weight, so I feel like this is our time to shine and show them, that we bring the action too. Females, with girls, you always know it's going to be a cat fight. Obviously a lot of them implement the jiu-jitsu because that's what they're comfortable at, but you find some girls that are, from the streets, and you can kind of tell some of them, and you just bring it, It's just like, man, these girls are hitting way better than the guys. Definitely going to see a brand new Red. I've definitely rebuilt myself physically, just jumping right back into where I was, in my jiu-jitsu. So you might even see some different things from me as well. I'm definitely getting more comfortable with the leg locks and everything like that. That's something I've been really working. As far as defending, I've always known how to defend it, but now I'm starting to learn how to use them for my game and even go from a heel hook or that transition to a dominant position to side control, where I can definitely land some big bombs and even finish with a choke. So. Now that we have something like this, CJJ, that's right up my alley. I love doing it. Anything that someone throws at me, I'm always game for. But this is definitely a great opportunity for me. See what I can work, retaining my belt and going from there.
Feeling good, feeling ready, prepared. I'm looking forward to once again being in Cancun, this time for the Bantamweight title. I think that I've got everything it takes to be the Bantamweight champion and more. And I'm coming in completely confident. I was born into martial arts. I was born into jiu-jitsu. It's something that's been in my heart and in my blood ever since I can remember. I've got a very strong group of people that I train with here, a very personal group to me, people that I trust, my brother being one of them. I always have him. We're about the same size, great training partners for each other. We're always trying to push each other and level one another up. And so fortunately, I always have him by my side, assuming neither of us are injured, but I feel very confident with my preparation, and there's been no complaints.
It is Elias Anderson.
Well, this will be, a big accomplishment for me. I believe this will be my 5th event with Eddy Bravo. I've competed in, EBI, CJJ. I was in the inaugural CJJ. I definitely feel like I'm a veteran in the, submission-only jiu-jitsu scene. Very proud and honored to be competing at this historic event.
Full Nelson.
Full Nelson lock here.
That's a real thing.
Oh,
Listen,
100%.
That's a real thing. I'm tapping right there.
Yeah, it's painful. This is very painful.
I think I already have a very aggressive style. I come to pressure my opponents, and I don't like to take a back step. I like to move forward. I like to hunt for the submission, but also maintain strong position. I don't want to be caught out of balance. I think that some people rely on heavy striking, and now that they have this opportunity to hit with their hands, I will be coming to lock people down and submit them. I feel good. I feel confident. I feel like I understand the rule set at this point. I understand the format. I understand the training that needs to go into it. It's a little more, intense when you can throw strikes as well. You have to focus on, not only your ability to go full pace jiu-jitsu match, but now you've got someone trying to slap you in the face or press their palm right into your ribs. So I think I feel very prepared going into this Bantamweight tournament. I think people will see that. I've been training like a madman. I think at the end of the day, all of these guys are high-level jiu-jitsu competitors, and they're gonna do what they can in order to get to proper position in jiu-jitsu. I think that the strikes are used mostly to open up, positions of control, and that's what I'll be looking to do. If I can TKO someone, great, but I'm looking to submit every single opponent. I think one of my greatest skills on the mat is my wizardry. I'm just joking. I think one of my greatest skills that maybe some people know about is just my ability to push past my own breaking point. I think that I, strive for strong competition and people that are gonna, push me, and I really enjoy a dogfight if it happens. And I'm always prepared. I train for those rounds. I push myself in every training session. Obviously, I want the match to go smoothly, and I want to secure a finish as quick as possible, but I do enjoy a good dogfight. I'm looking forward to displaying my hard work. I've put a lot of time and effort into constantly improving and constantly thinking about progressing in this game. And it's something that's always on my mind. I never want to plateau. So, very prepared.
Representing Planet Preach, Eddy!
Eddy started talking about combat jiu-jitsu. At first none of us really knew what to think about it. Adding like slaps to jiu-jitsu did to me and to a lot of us kind of sound like an odd concept.
Don't worry about the strikes, let him slap you, it'll wake you up.
At first, it wasn't something that I was interested in. I like training without strikes. I'm not looking to finish someone off of damage. I'm not in here to try and hurt somebody. I like the concept of trying to get somebody to submit willfully, and the art that's in that, and the work and the technique that's in that. When you switch to finish with damage, there's a little switch in your brain and there's a switch in your technique and the way you operate that it's not really what I'm going for,
Loving Ben Eddy's work here.
Going to town with the pity-patty slaps on the top of the head.
Right.
I had him in a bunch of different rubber guard holds, but I couldn't finish anything. And he kept on putting a ton of pressure. He was picking me up out of guard. He got some decent slaps in. It was a really good back and forth regulation match.
Honstein looks to survive, and he does. Overtime for the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Bantamweight title here at EVI 15.
And going into overtime, I just kind of told myself, I was just you gotta you know, you gotta win this one. Like pull this one out. You know, this is gonna be a big deal if you can like win this one. It was just a really cool moment to be able to share on stage with everyone. Getting my black belt and having like kind of all my instructors there.
After about 10 EBIs, I went back to the commission. I go, can I do combat jiu-jitsu now on the open mats? And then they said, hell yeah, because they saw what I did with EBI. I go, I want to do exactly what EBI is doing, but I want to add arm strike. And they said, yeah, right. They agreed to it, boom, green-lit it. We're just trying to focus on just the jiu-jitsu.
Eddie was really asking me, specifically Elias, was like telling me he wanted me to compete for him in combat jiu-jitsu because of my rubber guard game. He was like, this, you know, it's gonna really work really well for you. You have a perfect game for combat jiu-jitsu because when these guys come in for their strikes, you're gonna be able to wrap them up, play your rubber guard, and you know, your 10th plan of jiu-jitsu, and you know, it's gonna work well for you. You're gonna be able to find the sub when these guys look to slap. And it just kind of turned out that Wilson Hayes, pretty much the main, you know, #1 guy showing up for the 16-man event, showed up overweight. So then I ended up getting that match as a super fight, and that was my first combat jiu-jitsu match. I remember being pretty hype about it. You know, I was like, wow, okay, this is gonna be my first combat jiu-jitsu match. This guy literally just that year fought for the UFC title against Mighty Mouse, and that was gonna be my first combat jiu-jitsu match. I remember just how hyped the crowd was, just like how hyped everybody was. You know, it felt so new. Like people didn't really know what was going to happen, so there was a real like.
And now armbar coming. Oh, it is Ben Eddy by submission. He stops Wilson Hayes. Wow, what a win for Ben Eddy.
Once I started training for combat jiu-jitsu and started adding like slaps into my rounds and stuff, I really liked how it felt. I really liked, like right away it started showing me like parts of my game, parts of jiu-jitsu where I would get struck, where you know, where it wouldn't work if people were able to strike. It really started giving me an appreciation for range and closing the distance and constantly needing to have a clinch or control people's hands. And I really liked that. I really liked, it felt like it was really not only improving my jiu-jitsu for if somebody's gonna be striking me, but it felt like it was improving my jiu-jitsu for even just normal jiu-jitsu, because I couldn't just kind of hang out and have like kind of a more lazy recovery guard. I had to prioritize position a lot more. I had to prioritize the clinch. I had to make sure that I was always in and tight or far enough away.
You have plenty of time to submit him. You have the jiu-jitsu to do it, gun show.
And it made me like work a lot quicker. Yeah, I showed up and just kind of with the mindset of like, okay, let's just let, you know, you're not gonna be in your best like shape. Just let these guys kind of bring the action to you and just kind of try and roll with it, flow with it, and find the answer, you know?
Wrist control. Wrist control. Fight those hands.
I just barely started to get the hold back in, and I knew there was like maybe 15 seconds left. Hold this till the buzzer, you know? And so I just started squeezing and holding. And I started to feel like within the last like 3-4 seconds that, you know, that it was in and that he was like starting to go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, if I just hold this until the buzzer and I make sure he's asleep, like all I need to do is just make sure he's asleep, and then, you know, just release my arms and show him that he's asleep, and like I should win, like all I want. You know, so I just held it, and then the buzzer hits, and I'm like, he's asleep. Like literally, I literally felt him like 1 second before just like fall limp on me, and I'm just like hitting my head like, wow, like he's asleep. Just open your arms and just show him like that he's asleep. However it goes, you know, I'm just looking forward to being able to show up healthy with good energy and just be able to display my jiu-jitsu and bring my game. I hope I can show up at 100% and do what I do, you know?
Man, I wanted to give up.
Fuck. The Granados, the choker wasn't...
It's 2 fingers, it's nothing. So I knew
it's just the Granados.
Yes.
Good job.
Fucking good job on fighting my rubber guard. Like, I couldn't finish that. How
are your legs feel?
They're tired.
My name is Quick Nick Honstein. I'm a 2nd degree black belt under Greg Lawson. I train at Lincoln Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Lincoln, Nebraska.
30 seconds, get down.
You got it, boss. I'm ecstatic to be invited to Mexico. It's always a good time. It's always a pleasure coming to EBI. Eddy treats his fighters really well, and the whole crew there. It's always just a good time. Palm strikes are an interesting addition to the grappling game. They can definitely change the game under the right hands, I suppose. If you know how to do it, some guys like Wagner Rocha have been really successful kind of finding those unique positions where the striking kind of changes. And yeah, I hope to do that as well. I think if you bring in a heavy top game, like with aggressive wrestling and top control game, you can definitely use the striking to your advantage. I've been to EBI 4 times now. The first time was the world's first combat jiu-jitsu at Bantamweight, and I won that night. It was only a 4-man tournament on the undercard. And then I came back to defend it against Ben Eddy, and then I've been back. I lost that match against Ben Eddy in the overtime, and then I've been back twice since then. Both times doing well, but not quite making it to win the gold. So I'm back one more time, and this time I'm bringing my belt home.
Get your arm back across.
My style of jiu-jitsu I would describe as smash and grab jiu-jitsu, and I think it's perfect for this rule set. Some things that work against me are the limit on the takedowns. I need a little bit of time to work my takedowns, but I think I've got enough time. And then the overtime is obviously, it's designed to work for not just a heavy submission grappler, but specifically a 10th planet style jiu-jitsu guy. But lucky for me, I'm pretty good at a lot of the 10th planet positions and moves. So I think that everything about my style makes it kind of fit right into this type of tournament. My biggest problem would just be keeping up with these young kids for 4 matches a night. I know I can beat every one of these guys. Beating them 4 times in a row is gonna be a real challenge, but doing everything I can to be able to take that on.
Boom, frame, leg steps back, I lower, I catch him, I block him with my head. I throw him, I get here. Trap him right here. One other way to get here is the fighting north side.
The lockdowns have changed a lot of things, but for me, I'm a vet. I can get a workout any way I need to. I'm a coach at the gym, so, you know, when there's a will, there's a way. And so the rolling never stopped. Jiu-jitsu slowed down a bunch, so it never really stopped. It just went from 30 guys in a gym to 2 or 3 guys in a gym at different times of the day. And of course, I was one of those 2 or 3 guys. You know, for those of us who live jiu-jitsu as a lifestyle and have for a long time, it really didn't slow us down. It just changed the amount of grappling partners. But even in that aspect, the guys that come are the hardcore jiu-jitsu guys. You want to get all the rounds with anyways. So really, your hobby guys that do jiu-jitsu, they haven't been doing it as much, but your professionals that stay in and stay sharp all the time, we haven't gone anywhere. I believe I have what it takes to become champion because I've done it before. Had plenty of opportunities to get my title back, and it's always a game. It's always a challenge. All these guys are tough, but I definitely have the mustard. I definitely have the grit. I just got to figure out a way to beat all 4 of these guys in a row. I'd just like to thank Eddy and the whole crew at EBI for inviting me out once again. This promotion's really cool. They're really helping the sport of jiu-jitsu in general evolve, and guys like me giving us a chance to get out of our house and do something, compete again at this level. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting all the guys there again and smashing some dudes up. And yeah, we'll see you guys on March 21st.
Red fight! Handle, let's go!
So my previous experience competing on Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, I'm gonna say it right now, I'm not one to make excuses, and this is where I make my excuse. I think I lost my matches because of a very bad haircut. It was a tragedy. I came out there with like practically a shaved head, and it was just like the worst match of my life. So my hair's grown back. I feel grounded. I'm in Zen mode. I'm ready to go. The hair's ready to go.
Seattle workshop, it is Gabriel Daffron.
But I'm gonna be stunned. Ooh, he gets in deep. That is not great for Ben Eddy. That is a deep, deep entry.
Oh, there it is, and it's done. Gabriel Daffron.
How has the lockdown affected my training? To start off with, I was practically training with like 4 to 5 people, just over and over and over again, especially for like the Jiu-Jitsu overtime event. I was literally training with just a super small group, and I did that for a while actually. So all my setups and everything was just so predictable because I was training with the same people, just doing the same setups over and over and over again. So I kind of lost the timing aspect. However, now I'm still working in a smaller group, but I've definitely added a couple people to my group. Shout out to Josh Bacalao, Philippe, some black belts coming in here, coming in my group. I'm getting in good work. We're kind of getting to the tail end of this pandemic. Some of my loved ones have gotten vaccinated. So I like to think I'm not killing any grandmas out here. So, doing my best to, do my best, but we are getting to the point where we're starting to get into a little bit bigger groups for training. And I'm able to, I won't say train normally, where normally I'd be training with like 50 people, but I'm getting to the point where my group is expanding more than 4 or 5 people. So I'm happy with that. And, I have really quality guys I'm training with. I'm training with, world-class black belts out there, and they're smacking me up. And yeah, I'm ready to take a smack, give a smack, whatever it takes to be a Combat Jiu-Jitsu World Champion. I'm ready for it. How I got started in martial arts is pretty much like the Karate Kid. I was on the playground and kids were going no mercy on me. I had to learn a martial art, had to learn how to defend myself because, I'm a pretty guy, guys like to pick on me. I have to be able to defend myself, use the art of verbal judo to misdirect their mean comments, and being able to defend myself is something that, really interests me. So yeah, got into wrestling, then got into jiu-jitsu, and now I'm here. Training twice a day, pretty much 10 to 12 sessions in a week. I get strength and conditioning in twice a week, and a lot of double sessions in jiu-jitsu. I cross-train boxing once a week as well. So I get a good variety of training. I have a lot of autonomy when it comes to my training schedule. So listening to your body is a key when it comes to not getting injured and being consistent with training every day. I am like a 2-stripe purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu at birdwatching. I know what you're thinking. That might be where the duck jitsu came from, kind of like a Batman origin story. So now you guys know. Expert birdwatcher. I get my binoculars, I sit there all day, and there's a lot of things you can learn from birdwatching to using your jiu-jitsu, like patience. I'm a very patient guy when it comes to birdwatching and on the mats. So watch out, duck jitsu coming at you. What is my style of jiu-jitsu? I like to compare it to a cheetah combined with a duck cheetah. That's how I think of myself out there. I'm a cheating duck. So watch out, guys. You don't want to mess with me. I'm quick, I can fly, I can swim. I can really just do it all out there. With the addition of palm strikes, just changes the way you have to play your guards, your guard passing a little bit. The distance management comes into play. Other than that, it's a great way to prevent stalling. Just slap the man, slap him. The guy has to move, and you're gonna get more exciting grappling matches. I'm a finisher. I go for the kill. Regardless of the rule set, I'm gonna be looking for the submission. I'm gonna be going for the 10 minutes. I'm gonna try to finish in regulation. We could be playing IBJJF out there, points. We could be playing ADCC rule set. We could be playing, submission only, EBI style, whatever it is. I'm going to go for the kill, and I'm gonna try to finish the match.
My name is Marcelo Cohen. I'm a black belt to represent the Arnal in Jupiter, Florida. When Eddy come up with this new idea, people were a little skeptical, but combat jiu-jitsu is not jiu-jitsu, it's not MMA, it's a mix, it's a middle term. You meet it halfway. So for me, this is my fourth fight at combat jiu-jitsu, so it's pretty natural. I feel great and ready to go. Competing with ABI is always a great experience. You know any round that you're gonna have, there's gonna be a hard round. It's not everybody that gets invited to things like this. You gotta be a high-level athlete, so you know there's no easy rounds ABI. You're gonna go against somebody high-level, world-class right away. So I'm excited about that, to test my jiu-jitsu skills against the best people in the world.
Going very close to getting the finish here. Steps over, and it's done! Marcelo Cohen with a beautiful Kimura! Wow!
I have full-time training jiu-jitsu. Wake up in the morning, do my beach run or do strength and conditioning training in the morning. Then I'm going to train at 11 a.m., teaching classes afternoon. And I also do my third training session at night time. And on the weekends I bounce people, which is I consider part of my training too. I've been training some leg locks and entanglements using the slaps together. So I might surprise some of you guys with some different attacks, what you guys expecting from me. It changes a lot. It makes faster. It makes more real. The palm strikes don't let you sit in positions that you normally will sit and rest in jiu-jitsu. So you gotta all the time control distance, and or you stay too far or you get too close. But what you cannot do the inversions as much, because every time they invert too much, the palm strike get into your face, so it wakes you up. The palm strikes make the jiu-jitsu more real. Jiu-jitsu more applicable for MMA. It's always a great feeling when you get the invite to compete at EBI. That's my fourth time with them, so I'm super excited for this great opportunity to compete in Cancun, Mexico. I've been to EBI before in Mexico City, but now we have a different perspective and scenario, so I'm so excited to go there and do my best. My style of jiu-jitsu is perfect for combat jiu-jitsu. It's an old school close guard, submission attack style. Always looking for the finish, controlling distance. I feel like my jiu-jitsu style is perfect for combat jiu-jitsu. I've been tested 3 times already. I'm pretty confident about it. You can see going for submissions all the time, slapping everybody in the face, coming out of bad positions, attacking hard, never resting in any position or stalling. I'm looking for the finish. I want to get every single one of them. I have everything that it takes to be a champion in combat jiu-jitsu. I've been training jiu-jitsu for over 20 years. I've been winning for over 10 years. This is another one. I'm gonna bring another belt to my case and I'm ready to go. I'm one of the highest levels in the bracket. I was just an immigrant from Brazil and make things happen here in America with all these opportunities that Jiu-Jitsu bring it to me. It's a great country. The only time that you're not gonna succeed, I see a lot of people complaining, oh, there's no sponsor in Jiu-Jitsu. There's no sponsors for lazy people, for people that, or to get into the things that you wanna get in Jiu-Jitsu, it takes a long time. Don't expect putting 2 years of training and think that's enough. I just got things back from Jiu-Jitsu after 10 years. 10 years training, then I saw something back. Put it work and you get what you want. I'm an example of that. I was illegal in this country. Look at where I am now. Driving jet skis for fun, having nice cars, getting paid to do this.
A lot of people talk about taking on role models in combat sports, and Balderrama on the mount with the legend, but that didn't stop him from cracking him with the right hand.
Yeah, no respect to persons. I appreciate it.
I think for my biggest accomplishments in Jiu-Jitsu at least is having world titles, both in Nogi and the Gi. I feel like getting a world title is not something you easily come by. There's a lot of people that have champion mentality, but do actually have the status. Those are people that you can only memorize, you know. In life, I think being able to go from, like, you know, the usual story of the chubby kid to the kid to dropping weight and having now a healthy life, and being able to go around the world and help other people that may be out in the same situation, or maybe their fight's not physically but mentally, and being able to help them throughout the art. I think that's one of the biggest accomplishments I hope I can still do and continue to do. It's a little bit of a funny story how I got started into martial arts, because initially I did Lima Lama, which was like a type of karate kata, and I really didn't like it because I was always more into fighting, like actually having contact. And then after that, I remember, I think it was my dad's birthday. We went out to eat and we saw a gym nearby, Entram, back in my hometown in Tijuana. So we saw it and he was like, oh, he said like a snarky comment about like, if you weren't full or something about the foot, I'll sign you up. And I was like, no, I'm not full, you can sign me up. But once we got there, he was like, okay, I'll sign you up for 1 month. If you can't make it, then you'll have to do something for me. And I was like, I'll make 2 months. And he said, okay, do 2. And then it went from 1 year to 2 years to 3 years. And then eventually, the MMA classes for kids were no more, and there was only Jiu-Jitsu. So that's how I started my my competition scene with Jiu-Jitsu only. So that's how we are here now. Coming up from a Mexican household, like, I think it's one of the dreams to be able to fight in your own country and represent. And I've previously fought in EVI and in combat format, so I think just coming back makes sense for me because I've always liked the rule set to fight. And I think this time around, I'll be able to have a few more surprises. I think essentially it's always Jiu-Jitsu, right? Because, I mean, supposedly Jiu-Jitsu is about defending yourself. So in the street, if someone punches you and you're down, you gotta know how to tame them down, come back up, and then, you know, finish the fight. So I think it does change it, but in essentiality, it's still the same thing, as long as you know how to fight the rules properly. So So I always thought like the combat format was very appealing for the audience, especially because there's a certain hype that they get from getting someone punched. At least that's what most people seem to like. But especially because you still have that aspect of jiu-jitsu, which is more pure in a certain sense. I think it also helps for especially the jiu-jitsu community that like to see how it flourishes with the more type of physical combat when it comes down to the strikes. It's a good way to make the general audience understand more jiu-jitsu slowly until the point where it becomes more mainstream. And I think like especially combat did a great step by existing with that type of format. In combat the featherweights, I fought against Imanari, had a good fight. Got caught like 1 minute left in the fight, but other than that I gave him a good run for his money. So I don't know, that kind of made me happy because it lets me know that I can tangle with the best, which is something that I've always known, but I think that's more just in a way for me personally having more confidence in myself. I feel I'm a very tactical type of fighter, but I get very physical sometimes, especially when I get mad. So I feel, especially with the additional palm strikes, if I do get mad, the tactical side will allow me to tame people down and then start to actually become more aggressive. So I feel that's something that helps my style the most, especially because I have a very take the back type of nature fight. And essentially I've always liked fighting anywhere, bottom, top, wrestling, taking the back, going for the mount, going for the passes. So I think the rule set just allows me to explore those areas even more. I have to pretty much cross the border every single day to just be able to go and train at Atos, which is in San Diego, and then come back, train here in the mornings, and then go back again every single day, which can be a strain on the body and the mind especially, but still this part of the game just proves how much you want it, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'll come out on top.
My name is Zack Schneider. I'm a brown belt under Robert Drysdale, and I'm representing Warrior Camp. I got started in martial arts from just watching old UFC tapes. You start, going onto YouTube with your friends and searching how to do a Kimura or how to escape a guillotine, wrestling around. I find out that that's called jiu-jitsu. So when I went to college, I found a club. I took over that club the next year, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu ever since. I've had a few amateur MMA fights back in the day. Warrior Camp is an MMA gym and has a lot of MMA classes, and I kind of feel like if you do martial arts and you never ever strike, then, are you really doing martial arts, So I'll go to an MMA class here and there to keep myself honest, hit the pads. I have a heavy bag at home. So I do some striking, but definitely the path that I've been going down is jiu-jitsu. Combat jiu-jitsu is something that rounds out what jiu-jitsu is. Because there are positions in sport jiu-jitsu that are not realistic. And whether or not those still exist in combat jiu-jitsu, you can argue, but the fact that someone can swing down and influence you, give you a striking influence whenever they want to, whenever they have a free hand to, whenever their balance is there. All of a sudden now, if you're in guard and you're trying to get underneath someone, or you're playing a leg game and being lazy about your positioning, not being wary of your space between the other person and yourself, you can get hit. An open palm, I don't think it's gonna hurt a whole lot less than a closed fist. No one's breaking hands, and that's what it's really about. But you can give someone a wallop with an open hand. So I think that's a pretty good way to influence the sport of jiu-jitsu toward a more realistic direction. I'm incredibly excited to be a part of this event. I think it's an awesome event. It's in Cancun, which is great for me because I'm a warm weather guy and we're up here in Washington getting snowed on right now. So I'm ready to get down there, get on the beach, go tussle with some people, throw it on the line, try to do some crazy stuff, get a nice little highlight if I can, and after that, hit up that buffet and enjoy my time. I'm excited about every part of this. I like getting ready for it. I like being at the gym. I like traveling for this type of stuff. I like competing. I like the feeling that you get when you have a competition coming up and there's butterflies. You get a little nervous, you know, and you come to peace with that. I'm already in good shape, and I think this is a great opportunity, a great time for me to go in and show people what I can do. Palm strikes change everything about the grappling game. In grappling in general, a lot of times, obviously, you're using two hands, whether you're trying to get a grip or head down. You know, you should always be using both hands for everything you're doing. And so that's still going to exist, and you still have to grapple, and you still have to use both hands. But there are also positions in which one hand, you know, can be used without throwing you off balance or without losing you major position, and you can force the other guy to move. And that's really what it is I'm now forcing you to move because I'm in a position where I can hit you, and you may or may not be, you know. Open guard or close guard, there's probably spots where both people can hit each other. Because it's a new art, we're gonna see new things that people are doing all the time to change things up. My guard does not get passed very often. I really try to take a point of pride in not letting people pass. And if you can't put me in a dominant position, then it's gonna be very hard to really land a strike of anything outside of that purgatory trying to reach and hit me. But if you have feet on the hips, I think you can control space, and I feel pretty comfortable with that. It's gonna be hard to prepare for me. I'm gonna be overlooked because I'm not a premier guy in this division, but I've grappled premier guys in the gym, in many gyms, at my weight, above my weight. And it's always been very clear to me for the past 4 years that I am of that level. So I'm ready for this, I've been ready for this, and I'm excited to make my mark. I'm ready to bring it, and trying to have some fun.
My name is Taylan Yuasa. I'm a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, a second degree black belt in Judo, and I represent Ivan Salivary MMA. The reason why I got started in martial arts was from Judo. So when I was a kid, my brother came home one day from school and was like, I want to try Judo. And my dad asked me if I wanted to give it a try as well, so I did. Later on, it was pretty cool. We found out that my grandpa actually was a purple belt in Judo himself.
Oh, God.
Feels good, huh? It's been a minute. Began at Budhram Judo Seattle. I'm still there helping out to this day with Sensei Bert Mackey. It's probably one of my biggest passions now in coaching. Our great uncle did Judo. It was a family thing before we even realized it. And the reason why our family kind of fell out of it was because after World War II, Japanese families wanted to become a little more Americanized, so they kind of did away with traditional Japanese sports. And now in the modern era, we've kind of come full circle back to our roots. In 2013, I started competing at the international level in Judo. I was a 3-time national Judo champion. I competed on the US World Team twice. I was really excited to be invited back. I wasn't too surprised to be invited back just because after the last CJJs in LA, Eddy came up to me and he was like, hey, you're my judo guy from now on. So I was definitely excited that, you know, he said that to me of all people. It means a lot to be able to come back and compete with the best in the world in Jiu-Jitsu. The addition of palm strikes in combat jiu-jitsu doesn't really make a huge difference. You don't see a lot of TKOs, they're kind of a rarity. That's definitely, you know, a cool thing to go for. It's cool to see TKOs in combat jiu-jitsu, but the majority of players, I think we all know, are going to use strikes to open up their submissions. They're not using strikes to knock people out, they're using it to create openings in their game and find routes to their submissions that they usually wouldn't find in, let's say, a regular no-gi competition. My initial thoughts about competing in CJJ and CJJ as a whole is that it would give jiu-jitsu players an option to go the MMA route and kind of work their way towards mixed martial arts. But I like it now because it's kind of become its own sport in that a lot of MMA fighters are crossing over into jiu-jitsu now, into combat jiu-jitsu that is. And a lot of jiu-jitsu players are crossing over into CJJ. So you're seeing kind of a blend between the two sports and it's kind of become its own thing, which I like. And I feel like that really plays well into my game because I come from a grappling background. I wrestled all through high school, I did judo my whole life. I've done jiu-jitsu since I started my MMA career. So really the blend came naturally to me as it was. So the last time I competed at CJJ Worlds was 2019, and it was the same weight class, same thing as a lot of the same competitors as this time around. And I remember the day before the tournament, the draws came out, and I look at my phone and I'm like, oh cool, first match, I got Nick Honstein, he's the returning champion from the first ever CJJ event. It was really cool to be able to have a legend like him as my first ever CJJ match. I feel like because of that and because of how experienced he was with CJJ and how inexperienced I was, I didn't really get to show my full, well-rounded jiu-jitsu game, which is kind of a shame in my opinion. So I'm really blessed to be able to have this opportunity to go back and, you know, be able to prove that I belong with these guys and that I really should have this spot here and that I'm not just a judo guy doing combat jiu-jitsu. So my style of jiu-jitsu is very, very funky. It is like a little throwback to my wrestling days almost. Back when, because wrestling is no-gi as well. I would always have a lot of scramble positions. I found myself in a lot of scramble positions. I would always have a lot of crazy exchanges, high point matches. So because of that, when I come to combat jiu-jitsu, I feel like because of those scrambles that I create, without even meaning to, it opens up a lot of strikes for me. It opens a lot of niche submissions that you don't really see in a normal IBJJF tournament or other no-gi tournaments. So the pandemic hasn't really affected my training at all, to be honest. I'm blessed to have Ivan Salaverry as a coach. He doesn't give a fuck about the restrictions of the pandemic. We were able to train healthily and safely, but still be able to maintain, you know, good cardio, good conditioning, and maintaining our technique even throughout the pandemic. I was blessed to have my brother, who's a world-class judoka, to train with at home whenever I wanted to, whenever he wanted to. He pulls me out of bed, says, all right, time to train. So we were ready from the beginning to be able to compete as soon as we're ready to go back.
Push! Get the fuck out of there! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
From all three grappling backgrounds I have, from wrestling to judo to jiu-jitsu, I bring a lot of different takedowns, submissions. Those takedowns create a lot of different openings that jiu-jitsu players aren't really used to. All of my submissions come off of strong takedowns or come off of strange positions from the bottom that you wouldn't see in a traditional no-gi match. Out on the MMA, I have a dozen or so MMA fights so far behind me. So, I mean, the striking definitely comes second nature as well.
My name is Suraj Budhram. I'm a black belt, and I represent Fight Sports Miami. I'm super excited to compete in the CJJ in Cancun, Mexico, because it's a different style of tournament that I'm not used to, but it's very aggressive, it's very straightforward, so I'm excited to showcase my jiu-jitsu in that style. My previous experience competing with EBI was, I think it was 2016 in Mexico City, and I trained super hard for this tournament, but what happened was the altitude kind of messed with my lungs a little bit. I flew in the day before, made weight, everything was great. You know, Eddy Bravo and everybody in the organization treated us super well. It was probably the most organized organization I've ever seen. I felt like a superstar. I was super excited, and I'm super excited to see the next event coming up.
Saw some frantic movement here on that side. These guys are getting very close to the edge, but luckily it ends well.
So my thoughts of CJJ is it's such an amazing rule set. I think it's so cool to have strikes and palm strikes in the grappling scene now. It's definitely going to show people's true jiu-jitsu and show also their grit and how tough they really are. You have to kind of mentally change your game in a different aspect of how can I react off of getting hit. So we've been training a lot of getting hit and some reactions off of getting hit. So it just mentally definitely changes the game. So my style of jiu-jitsu benefits this type of rule set because I want to be aggressive. Even sometimes when I'm, fighting some tournaments or training, sometimes I want to hit somebody too. So this is good that it's opened up now, and we can slap, we can palm strike, we can, try to break people mentally and also physically with some hits. So I believe I have what it takes to become the 135 combat jiu-jitsu champion because I'm training hard. I haven't stopped training since the last tournament in EBI, and I want the belt, and I want to bring the third title back to Fight Sports Miami. So the lockdown hasn't really affected Miami dramatically as training goes. We are sticking with the guidelines here in Fight Sports Miami, and we're training as much as we can with our guidelines. So some accomplishments that I have in Jiu-Jitsu and in life, I have my bachelor's degree in organizational management. I also have won a couple titles in IBJJF Opens, black belt. Some titles I would like is Pan Am's second place in no-gi, and then I have third place at brown belt in gi. I got a couple wins at Fight to Win, and I previously fought in the EBI as well. So I've been working recently on my no-gi game and trying to incorporate a lot more leg locks because I see that's kind of getting a little bit more popular in jiu-jitsu, so that's something that I want to bring to the table. You guys can expect for me to bring a show. I'm coming in, mind strong, body strong. I'm going to be, striking, submitting, winning in overtime if it gets there, and I'm just going to be bringing my heart to the mat.
My name is Michael Currier. I'm a black belt under Impact Jiu-Jitsu. I spent a lot of time doing other arts and other crafts that really helps my jiu-jitsu. I spent time working as a stuntman. I was a professional rollerblader, snowboarding. I was a nationally ranked gymnast growing up, and a little bit of wrestling in there too. I think one of the skills that I bring to jiu-jitsu is my background in gymnastics. Nothing that I've done in my life has really impacted more than my gymnastics background. I got started in martial arts back when I was about 3 years old. My grandfather back in Ohio had a Kempo karate school, and so I grew up doing Kempo karate. That led me to wrestling. In Ohio, everybody wrestles, so wrestling was kind of in our DNA there. From there, I kind of progressed to jiu-jitsu, and then jiu-jitsu is really the thing that caught my attention the most, and that's been my love since then. So I have a very, very strict daily routine. Every morning looks the exact same. I wake up, I do a morning workout. I usually skateboard for a little bit, bounce on the trampoline. I go straight to my Peloton bike. I do a 20 to 40 minute Peloton ride, straight to lifting weights, into the sauna, 45 minutes in the sauna every day, 10-minute ice bath. That's usually my big chunk of my morning. Then it goes into early afternoon jiu-jitsu training, another break, and then jiu-jitsu again at night. I train jiu-jitsu full time. This is all I do for a living. I'm still new to the whole competing scene, but I've done Submission Underground 4 times, 3 times winner. I've done Fight to Win. I was at the original Jiu-Jitsu Overtime event. I did World Series of Fighting, Grappling, Submission 1, Bullpen Series, Quintet Champion. I've done a little bit of everything in a short period of time.
Ready, set, go!
Man, being invited to CJJ bracket in Cancun is the highlight of my career. You know, I was able to get in there and do the Jiu-Jitsu Overtime on short notice. Eddy said he'd bring me in for this one with a full camp. I'm excited to get out there and do what I do. So the COVID lockdowns really haven't affected us at all here in Arizona. We moved from my academy into my garage, but the training never stopped. We were able to reopen our gym in October, and it's been gung-ho ever since then. So really no effect at all. I think that my style is unique, very physical. I'm a shorter, stronger guy, and I think that my power is gonna really bring me to the top. So you can expect to see non-stop action from me. It's go, go, go for me. I love to mix in my gymnastics. You're probably gonna see a handstand or a cartwheel. I just try to mix things up a little bit and just keep it entertaining.
B-Mac, we are in paradise. I can't think of a better place to see a fight. Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, the Bantamweights qualifier for 2021.
I just trained for 1 week. I was competing in Panams. I came back to Guadalajara, where I'm from, and then I saw the paper for the flyer from the qualifiers, and I signed it up, and I started cutting weight. I've been 2 days without eating, sort of just sipping watermelon, but I'm good. When I won, I feel really like peace, and I'm happy, really happy, man. They were all submissions. I feel 100% I can even go roll again. So I'm fine, honestly I'm fine. I like to end my fight like really fast, so that's what I came to do. That's the job, and that's it.
Trying to make something happen here is Priego.
Quick submissions and like fun matches.
Guard pull from Priego, he goes to the sweep.
The first match, I think it was a triangle. I was like kind of nervous, but I wanna like go for the takedown. But then my head was like, no man, go and pull guard and do your thing. And the first match was the triangle. The guy fell asleep. I was worried about it. I don't like to hit people, honestly. If you see my matches, I don't hit a lot. I just control and go for the submission.
He's almost to the shin. This could be trouble.
Oh, there it is. There's the tap. Wow, he's
Slept
out.
him. Slept him.
My goodness. Putting Fernandez to sleep.
The next one was a Kimura with a triangle, right? The guy was hard, honestly was hard. I decided to, I saw him like he wanted to pull my foot. So I go for the sweep, pass the guard, pull the side control, and start hunting the submission, and at the end I finish with my legs.
Into regulation, put your hands together for Manuel Priego. And we are underway. Juan Edgar Chico taking on Manuel Priego. This is our finale of our Combat Jiu-Jitsu World Bantamweight Qualifier.
And the last one, that guy was hard, man. When he hit me in this part of the face, I was like stumbling, but I saw him like opening the arm, and he was not gonna give me the triangle, so I was like, let's go for the Kimura, man. So it works.
Double wrist control. That's the opportunity we want to see. Oh, a Kimura tip from the bottom. This could be good. He used that Kimura in his last match to finish.
There's a couple of things that can go the way of Priego here. He can either get this submission or maybe utilize this position as an opportunity to sweep. But right now, this is all on tap. There it is. Wow! Manuel Priego, victorious via Kimura. He is now the winner of the Bantamweight qualifier. My goodness. Nicely done. Let's make this one official.
I think I'm gonna change a little bit, like train with MMA fighters. The last guy was hard. He hits me hard in the face. I was like stumbling. My training is gonna change a little bit, but I was still doing the same thing. So pulling guard and trying to submit like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter.
A beautiful performance by Manuel Priego, matched only by the beautiful scenery of Cancun.
I'm Cordova from 10th Planet Orange County, and I'm a brown belt as of this year. Yeah, so a lot of my buddies, Keith Currier, Derek Rayfield, Michael John, have done the qualifiers in the past, so it was just about my time training with them and to reach the level to be here. We actually prepped for this specific tournament pretty well for the past 2 weeks with my coach, Andy Ballmore. We had a pretty strategic game plan of just bringing out my A game, leaving my B- B+ game at home. So stuck to that, and then paid off dividends, worked wonders. I was able to dictate the pace of each match. Of course, my opponents are tough, so they got off their attacks, but I was able to counterattack and neutralize everything. Super stoked. Combat Jiu-Jitsu is right up my alley. Epitome of Jiu-Jitsu, stay on top, pinch my knees, and I may throw in a few slaps before we get submission. A lot of my friends are in there who I've trained with. Austin Daffron, Eddy from 10P, who I super look up to, Red Jitsu, Red Alarcon, who trains with us at 10 Planet Orange on occasion. So a lot of my friends are in there, so it'll be interesting, that dynamic of, do we actually hit each other? How much do we stay friends once the slaps come on? Of course we're gonna push the tempo of the match, but we all know we respect each other in our jiu-jitsu, and if one person throws a slap, we know the other person's gonna throw a slap, and we're gonna retaliate, of course out of love, but for the love of the game as well. So super stoked to compete against some of my best friends.
Gentlemen, are you ready? All right, let's hit it.
Pretty much all I'm doing nowadays is training about 3 times a day and sleeping the other 10 hours of the day, so it's not a bad life. Actually bought Master Eddy's Mastering the Rubber Guard in 2009. So I've always been a 10th Planet fan since then, had 10th Planet's bats since 2009, even though I never trained with 10th Planet. Submissions 101, was always mastering the rubber guard from the very beginning, always pulling it out in tournaments since 2009, so. Took like 6-7 years off of Jiu-Jitsu. 2017, got out of the military, started up again at 10th Planet Orange County, got all my belts, blue to brown with them. Super stoked with where I'm at. I'm teaching mornings at Fullerton. So yeah, it was kind of my journey here. Each quarter turn reveals something else in Jiu-Jitsu, reveals a new lesson, something I didn't know. I can't wait tonight. All I'm gonna do right now is go home, and if my buddies have any video of the tape, watch the tape, put it on replay, go get something to eat, and get on the mats tonight and see where I messed up, what I did wrong, and fix it. And that's what I'm gonna do whether I win or lose. I'm gonna record my matches, I'm gonna study them, I'm gonna find out within that quarter turn, what was I missing, what did I not know? So regardless whether I win or lose, the process is the same, and that's why I do it. It's easy to wake up when I'm just eager to learn. Right now it seems like it's the top and monumental point in my career, but I know, of course, win or lose, there's stuff after it that will be taller and that'll be more grand that is to come along the journey, but right now it's the highest point I can see, so that's where I'm going.
My name is David Weintraub. I'm a brown belt representing Vitor Shaolin Jiu-Jitsu. I have achieved a level of freedom in my life that allows me to pursue the goals that I want and to live out things that I've dreamed of for years, like fighting at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds and trying to take this world title. And that is an accomplishment that I consider very significant.
I've fought before at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. I'm the finisher, sub-only, 155 overtime champion. I've won some things, but I'm looking to do a lot more. I don't think I've shown yet what I'm fully capable of. I'm honored to be brought back to fight again at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. This is where I want to be fighting. I want to pursue this sport and fight as much as I can in Combat Jiu-Jitsu. I want to be the world champion. There's nothing I would rather be fighting for than a Combat Jiu-Jitsu world title. There's no sport I would rather be competing in. I can't say enough about how much this means to me. I hope to win this tournament and come back again and again and fight again and again. Striking changes the grappling game in a lot of ways. It gives people more opportunities to make mistakes, because if you strike in the wrong moments, it can be detrimental. It changes the offensive potential from a lot of positions, so that you have the ability to use striking very effectively offensively, and that will change how people have to approach how they, for example, attack and defend from guard or a lot of other bottom positions. Bottom positions become more defensive and less offensive most of the time for most people. Some people have games that are very well adjusted to the striking from a variety of different positions. It allows you to add complexity to your game when you have more elements that you can introduce to a situation. You can create more complex situations and more complex puzzles for your opponent to have to solve, and that can sometimes provide you with offensive opportunities which otherwise would not have been there. The last time I fought at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, I jumped in on 2 weeks' notice, 2.5 weeks' notice, I think, moving up in weight to a weight class that I'm very comfortable in, 155. I fought there and won there before and other places, but coming from primarily competing in sub-only for a couple of years, prior to that, having 2 weeks to readjust myself to the striking and to a new rule set was suboptimal.
Weintraub is still in the game. He may be able to last this, but PJ is working that grip. He's got to get his left hand the rest of the way behind Weintraub's neck.
That's not any sort of an excuse for my performance. I lost to PJ Barch at the 155 tournament. PJ is a beast. He got me. It's not about that. But I am much better prepared this time. I am just as hungry. I'm ready to go, and I'm better prepared, and I'm more experienced, and I have more tools at my disposal this time. My style of jiu-jitsu benefits from the implementation of striking because I try to be positionally dominant. I try to make sure that I'm winning battles with my opponent over all the small things, over grips, over tie-ups, over top position, over hand positioning and leg positioning and head positioning. By winning all those small battles, I put myself in positions where striking becomes effective offense for me, and also strikes from my opponent provide offensive opportunities by leaving defensive holes. Because of my attention to detail in grappling, I think that I create opportunities to strike where my opponents will put themselves in trouble by striking me. I hope to fight as much as possible for Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds in the future, because it is my favorite place that I've fought up to this point across all of the different combat sports that I've competed in.
Across here. Elbow deep. Step. Up. Hands lined over the top of the head.
My name is Randy Villareal. I'm representing Genesis Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm a first-degree black belt.
Drop in. Once I'm here, hands hit, we'll look at my elbows. Now it's a drop.
Honestly, all my skills revolve around jiu-jitsu. I pretty much do this full time. From teaching kids to adults, competing myself. It's my whole life is jiu-jitsu. Kind of a nerd. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to train full time. I run my jiu-jitsu school, so that's my full-time job, teaching. Typical day though, just wake up, get my kids ready to school. Once I get that done, then it's morning session consists of strength conditioning, cardio, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, studying. Then nighttime, that's where I do my teaching kids, teaching adults, and that's also where I get my training in. So I feel really fortunate to get the invite back. I competed for the first time 2 years ago. I didn't get the outcome I wanted, but it was a real good learning experience. I feel it's helping me prepare for this time around. So I was going to college at the time. I was 19. My brother, he would come over, bring UFC DVDs. I'd start watching them. Pretty much took off from there. I heard there was a local gym down the street from where I was living at the time. I just went and trained, and that's pretty much the end of it. I just never stopped training. I'm 20 plus pro MMA fights, combat jiu-jitsu veteran. Just pretty much going between jiu-jitsu and MMA. So my initial thoughts, I was obviously excited. I started thinking of it as a new challenge and how to prepare for it. And now that I've done it, I know what it takes. I'm more experienced, just preparing for it, being out there. It's just, I'm ready to redeem myself. This rule set, I truly feel it favors me. Like I said, I'm from the MMA world. All my wins were by submission or ground and pound. So this is right up my alley. I get to go out there, not just do jiu-jitsu, but open it up by using slaps, and I just really feel it's gonna benefit me. Thank God these lockdowns didn't affect me too much. I think it was like the first 2 weeks to a month, it was, kind of unknown, like not sure what was going on with the whole corona pandemic, so kind of played it safe, but it was one of those things where for me, it wasn't worth it to have to be in lockdown and not train. So I only took like 2 weeks off, and I just underground training in my garage, invited my teammates over, and luckily 6 weeks later we're open back up. So it didn't really affect me too much. Honestly, I believe I have what it takes, just not only my physical skill sets, but the mental side of this, the intangibles. That's where I feel I'm gonna strive with this. Like I said, this is my second time doing it, so I'm definitely more prepared. I'm definitely doing things better this time around to make sure I get my hand raised. You can expect to see nonstop action. I like pushing the pace. I like striking to advance my positions, and also I like to use my strikes to open up my submission. So you're gonna be in for a treat watching my matches. Tune in, it's gonna be a good time. 16 world-class competitors going at it. It's only been one winner, and I'm gonna do my best to make sure that's me.
I think at this point, people are gonna have been training long enough with the slaps and with the combat jiu-jitsu to feel pretty comfortable and to be coming in like this is something that's normal for them.
I think just coming back makes sense for me because I've always liked the rule set to fight. And I think this time around, I'll be able to have a few more surprises.
People are really pressing their palm into your head and basically just punching it right into your dome. It's not fun.
The thing that separates me from most of the guys in this competition, I suppose, is my experience and just my overall grit. I was the world's first combat jiu-jitsu champion, and I'm here to take back my belt.
March 21st, none of that matters. Doesn't matter who was champion, who wasn't champion, what anybody's done before. It's just who can show up that day, perform well, and get the job done. And I believe that's going to be me.
regardless whether I win or lose, the process is the same, and that's why I do it. It's easy to wake up when I'm just eager to learn.
I've been training Jiu-Jitsu for over 20 years. I've been winning for over 10 years. This is another one. I'm gonna bring another belt to my case, and I'm ready to go. I'm one of the highest levels in the bracket.
I'm definitely pretty jazzed to be in Mexico, you know what I mean? Cancun's always been on, like I said, my bucket list, so being in that atmosphere, temperature, you know, everything is just, you know, it's a dream for sure.